Welcome to the Newbie Coaching Calls with me, Amir Khan. I am your host. We do these calls every Thursday. And the first thing I like to do is in a moment, I'll ask you if you're brand new to the program and this is the first time you're on this call to have your camera on and just say hi. We'd like to introduce you to everyone and welcome you. So I'll do that in a moment, but I like to make some announcements. I do this every week, but if you're new, it's definitely going to be helpful for you. So just show me thumbs up if you see my screen now. Awesome. All right. So you will be asking this question, so I'm just trying to answer your questions as we go along. We do record these sessions, and if you want to see prior recordings, we have at least a year's worth of recording that you can go back and watch. So you can scan this QR code on the right side. This one. That would be for that. Second is a program that I started a couple of months ago. It's called the Learning Pod. And I'll tell you what it is first, but if you want to see details and you want to apply for it, you can scan this QR code and it'll bring you to the original posting. Essentially, what it is it's for people who've been in a program for, let's say, a couple of months, and for some reason or the other, they're stuck and they can't buy their first slow flip. You have to have funds for at least to buy your own one slow flip minimum. You have to have completed your training entirely, whatever's in our training program. So if you've done that and you're stuck, then this program may be for you. We only have, it's a free program. We only have spots for 5 people. So you do have to apply for it, and there are cycles as a group members succeed. They buy their first slow flip, they exit the pod, and new members come in. I don't run the pod. I created the pod, but a very prominent member of our community runs it. He heads it. So you can get the details by scanning the QR code on the right. Next is one of the most important thing that you should be doing. In fact, this is so important. If you want to know what is the most important thing that you need to learn, especially when you're a beginner in Scott's Slow Flip program, is the ability to look at 100 homes in a market. Not entirely, not for the whole program, right? In one market. So let's say if you are planning on buying in two markets, then you need to look at 100 homes in each of those markets. Okay. So this means that this activity is very important. So we have a member in our community. His name is Joshua. If you go back to the earlier link, I actually interviewed him on one of my calls, and he actually made a posting. He said, "Hey, I've come up with my own system," and everybody loved it. I liked it very much, and so I asked him, "Hey, can you also create a PDF guide?" So both the PDF guide and a video that he did explaining how this works is if you scan this QR code, it'll bring you there. So this is highly, highly recommended that you need to be doing that. Do not buy your first slow flip without doing this step. This is very important. Okay. Next, going back to the prior recordings, it's the same QR code here showing you my prior recordings, right? One of the 6 recordings, because there are more than a year's worth and you might get lost. These are the 6 recordings that I highly recommend that you watch. I've been told that they've been very helpful for people. So to find these, when you go to the link, you'll have to scroll all the way down because these are older recordings. The ones on the top are not these. So the first one, which is one of the most important one, everybody keeps telling me because I went through this same process, is when I joined the program, um, there's a lot of information. You go through the course, you start attending Scott's weekly coaching calls, and it's information overflow, right? You got, okay, well, I'm taking all the information coming in, and then after a while, you realize, what do I do first? I mean, you have to do a lot of things. What do I do first? What do I do next? And so on. So I made a video specifically for that, this first one right here. And this is the entire slow flip process sequentially, which is what I recommend. I'm not saying you have to do it this way, but if you are having a little difficulty and you think that it would help, then this video will really lay down the map for you. Next, if you are new to real estate investing, because in our community we have a mix, we have lots of people who have a lot of experience when they came in. Then running comms is very easy for them or comes natural to them. But I found a lot of people who were struggling with this as well. So I made a video specifically about running sold comms. So if that is something you want to look at, similarly, I did one for running rental comms. Then I did this video right here where, again, this is for people who have relatively less real estate investment experience or just real estate experience. And I'll give you an example so you'll understand why I even did this video. By the way, I do this on a volunteer basis. I don't work for Freedom Accelerator program. And I did this video because I remember this was 2 years ago. Somebody was telling me he's about to buy his first slow flip, and he was trying to describe to me how the closing is going to happen. And I'm listening to him and I realize he has no idea what's going to happen. He doesn't understand how a title company works. He doesn't understand what title search is. And I was concerned, right? You should be, right. I mean, if you don't know what's going to happen and on the day of the closing, a lot of things are happening and you don't do it, well, so I did a video here. It's the top 10 closing checklist. So you need to know what's going to happen and you need to be prepared. So that's one thing. Now, these two videos are, I think, is important for anyone. One is about property valuation in terms of slow flips. As you may know, if you have been in real estate, you have some experience in real estate investments. By the way, I do have substantial experience both on the residential and commercial side before I came into the program. So property valuation is pretty straightforward in a standard market. So let me repeat that because this is one of the most important things. For some people, this is news. The slow flip model, the properties we buy are not in the normal market. They're considered distressed properties. That's literally what when I talk to my potential private money lenders or private money lenders, that's how I describe the slow flip property. I never use the word slow flips. It's going to confuse them. So I tell them this is the kind of assets they are. So if that's the assets we're dealing with, the property valuation is not done in the same way as you would do in a normal market. So there's a video I did specifically about that. If you're really into this kind of stuff, it'll actually do that. It's quite in depth. And then another video I did was about tenant buyer management in terms of communication. I find some new people again with less experience, don't know how to go about, how do we communicate? Do we text them? Do we call them and all that? So I just kind of share my experience on how I do this. All right. So that's that. Now, this is another program I started earlier this year, actually. Yeah. And what I found was there were many people in our community who were interested in lending to other people in our community, meaning to say they wanted to be private money lenders for our members. They wanted to lend to other people, but they couldn't do it because they didn't have the skill set, they didn't have the experience, they didn't really know what they were doing. So, with Scott's permission, I designed a curriculum. It's a certified private money lender program. That's the official name. And then I did the first group. I think it was sometimes in January, February, somewhere around March. And then we had 10 people in that course, and I certified them. I run the program. I taught them, and we gave them certification. And then this is one of the posting, which is how it looks like. So in other words, they will go and they will post. If you look at the school community, there's a tab. It's called Certified Private Money Posting or something like that. It's a tab there. That's where they post all the loans when they're available. All right. And it's been very successful. And I've already done second group, and I'm about to do a third group, probably in January. So the only caution I have to tell you as early as now, if you're brand new, you will not be qualified for this program. And the reason is this, that just like any lender, whether it's a bank or a large mortgage company, they qualify people, right? So in this case, these are people, individual with their own money, their retirement account. Uh, uh, they want to make sure that you're serious about this business. See, a lot of people join our program, just like any program, right? They get really excited, they go through the training, and they say, "I'm going to do this." And they're here for 6 weeks. I see their messages throughout school, and then they realize they can't do it for whatever reason, and they're gone. So would it make sense for somebody brand new applying for a loan and a certified private money lender lending them, and then they disappear or they decide they don't want to do this? So because of that reason and some other reasons, this is one of they each one of these certified private money lenders have their own requirements. Meaning to say, they might say that you need to have done one slow flip, or you must have done two slow flips, and or how much cash reserves you need, and that kind of things. All right. So they all have requirements, and so at some point you will qualify, but if you're brand new, you probably will not. All right. But this is a program, and it is very valuable program. Give me just one moment. Okay. And finally, there is a community that I created. This is for people who've never raised private money before. If you're interested in learning that, there's two parts of it. There's a premium version and a free version. The free version is, of course, free, and still you have access to a lot of stuff there, including the community. So if you are interested in that, you can scan this QR code, and it'll bring you to the community. You just have to complete the form, and I'll accept you in it. So that's that on the announcements. And so this is the time I like to say hi to people who are brand new to our program, and this is the first time on the call. Just raise your hand in the software right here in Zoom, so I can call on you and would like to say hi to you. Okay, hiya. Hi, hiya. Go ahead and
Hi, can you hear
unmute
me?
yourself and tell us about yourself. Where are you based, and when did you join, and a little bit background about yourself.
Sure. Good evening. You can hear me. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. My name is Haya, and my husband and I joined the program last week. We have been in real estate investing for the past decade, and we decided we want to start holding assets and didn't want to be landlords. So this has been a great method, and we're very excited. And we are based in the Washington, D.C. metro area in the United States, but we do transactions all over the country. Our specialty is working with deceased homeowner situations. So we get a lot of these properties that other people shy away from, but they make a lot of money and they're great opportunities. Happy to
Great.
be here.
Well, welcome, Haya, and I'm glad to see you, and I hope to see you in the future calls as well.
Thank you.
Next up is Mark. Go ahead and unmute yourself, please. So you're still muted.
Yep. Hey, evening.
Hi, how are you? Go ahead and tell us about yourself a little bit. Yes.
Roger. I'm based in a little place called Mount Airy, North Carolina, which is Mayberry RFD. I have rental properties already back in Virginia Beach area, Hampton Roads, near where Scott actually works out of. I've been investing by default since about 87, on purpose since about 2000. So
I like that.
I'm semi-retired. I've done a lot of flips, and I still have some rentals that run my retirement portfolio. And I'm just looking for a way that's going to be easier than running the normal rental scheme. And
Mark, I can tell you, it is better. Easier is very subjective.
yeah,
Let me just put it
sure.
that way. The thing
Yeah,
is, people assume that it's, the term that people say about passive income.
right,
That terminology is very, I don't know. There's work involved. Let's just say that. All right.
right.
And it is different. So I come in from both commercial and residential side, and there were things that I didn't know. I've never invested in the Midwest. I'm in Texas, and I've started in Texas. I had my apartment complex, my
Mhm.
portfolio, and so I never knew anything about the North Midwest. But so there's always learning there. But
Right.
definitely your background in real estate does help.
Mhm.
because as you face different kind of situations, some past experience, will help you. But it
Sure.
is every day is a learning experience.
Right. Now I'm expecting that.
All right, cool. Well, welcome, Art.
Thank you.
Next up, Adam, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Oh, hi
Go ahead.
everyone, my name is Adam Jackson. I live in Bend, Oregon with my wife and 2.5-year-old toddler. And I have pretty much zero real estate experience, but am looking forward to learning a ton. And I think there's a lot of useful skill sets that can be applied in and outside of slow flips, from what we're going to learn here. So we have a garage on our property that we rent out to a tenant for storage purposes, but I'm not sure if that really counts as real estate investing.
It's a start. It's a start. Anytime you rent something, lease something. So
Yeah.
cool. So welcome, and just yeah, I'm sure you're all going through the training. So that is your core mission right now. The community is great, but however, if you're not going to go through the training, you're going to miss crucial parts. And so I would really highly recommend that good part of your time should be spent going through the modules that Scott has, which is very thorough. Oops, I think he dropped.
Amir, where in Texas are you?
I'm in Dallas, North Dallas.
Okay. I used to
I-
live in kind of north central Dallas. I grew up in Austin before
Okay.
moving out here to Oregon.
Where were you in Dallas, North Dallas?
Oh man. It was pretty close to Love Field, so I don't think it would be
Oh,
considered
that's
north.
that's downtown Dallas. Yeah, I'm in North, which is like Coppell, Louisville, Carrollton area. So
Okay.
it's kind of on the
Yep.
Dallas has grown so much, it's
Oh yeah.
like, McKinney used to be out of town, but now
Yep.
McKinney is part of Greater Dallas, and so
I
uh,
uh I have family in Greenville, and I'm sure that'll be Greater Dallas at some point, the way things are
at some
going.
point,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, welcome, and feel free to send me message. I do respond to messages, but I can sometimes not respond on the same day. But I'm available if you ever need help on the forum.
Thank you.
All right, welcome. Next up is Fareed or Ray.
Hi guys. Yes. So I'm based out of California, civil engineer with a PE license, and I do remodeling and additions. So I'm acting as a contractor for the most part right now. Have a rental property, built an ADU in the back, and I Airbnb the main unit, 4 bedroom, and renting out the unit in the back. And I live in the house that I pay mortgage for, but that's about it as far as real estate investment. Found out about the program, loved it, started going through the modules and trying to learn as much as possible.
Wonderful. So what's going on in I think it's different about ADUs, how ADUs have been classified in different places within California. How is it in your area where you are?
No, it's statewide. There was a mandate that started in 2017, then upgraded in 2020, and in 2022, they even made it much easier because of the housing crisis in entire California
Yeah.
basis, basically. So what it is now, used to be you had to be a mile from a bus station in order to not have to provide parking. But now they made it half a mile from a bus route. So that's basically like in bigger cities, that's anywhere.
Anywhere, right.
Almost everybody can do that. You can build up to 1,200 square feet in your backyard, provided that you have room to build without having to provide any parking. You can convert your garage into a livable
Wow.
space, a 2 bedroom, without having to provide parking. But there are limitations. It's based on like which city you're in. You can't subdivide and sell them separately.
What
But
about
and
permits? Does the city give you credit or some break on? Do you need permits for something
You
like
do,
this?
definitely. You need permits, but they have expedited the permit for these ADUs because they provide additional housing. And that's
Wow.
what they're looking for. All the mayors are promising,
Mm,
for example, Mayor Bass in Los Angeles, that came into the office not too long ago. She promised, I think, 20,000 affordable housing,
Wow.
and they went to, she's enforcing the city of Los Angeles to expedite the permit on the affordable housing. Used to take like 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And she said you have to find a way to do it in 2 months. And they're like, that's impossible. Talking about plan check, zoning, planning on all that stages. But regardless, they're expediting it and trying to just make more houses. And that's statewide, and all the cities need to abide by it. Some of them are dragging their feet, but eventually, I've built like over 20 of them for my clients over the past
Oh, wow.
4 years.
Wow. Well, welcome. That's very interesting, and hopefully we'll be talking more about that as well. Next up is Tim. Go ahead and unmute yourself, please.
Hi,
Unmute.
everybody. My name's Tim Weislack. I'm calling in from Tucson, Arizona. I have zero experience in real estate. What I do have experience in is working hard. I'm a full-time Uber driver. I'm 74 and a half years old. I see the writing on the wall for me in Uber, though. Every day I get home and all I want to do is sit on the couch. But I'm running so hard just to try to make ends meet that it's really difficult. And even though I'm almost 75, I'm looking forward to this as a future not only for myself, but for my wife and family.
Absolutely. This is a great program if you are also patient. Um, Unfortunately, some people, and I'm sorry, I don't think anybody in this call is impatient. But real estate is a business for people who are patient. If you're impatient, then this real estate just doesn't work, because that's the nature of the business, right? You cannot rush things. So if you're patient and you take your time in going through the course, and the community is great, by the way. I don't know if you guys know, if you have been on school, the community that we have, if you've been to any other community, school itself somehow is just a magical place. And it was new to me also when I first came to school. I thought, oh, it's just like Facebook. But no, actually, the way the culture in school works is that it's just the whole system is like that. People are very, very generous. Nobody is cutting you down. Nobody is, shaming you or anything like that. So it's a very, very helpful community, and you will actually find people who will go out of their way to help you out if you just put yourself out there and just be authentic. So welcome, Tim.
Hey, thank you very much.
Nasir.
Hi, Amir.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. So I live in the Daytona Beach area in Florida. I'm a personal injury adjuster. Ever since my son was born, less than 2 years ago, I thought, I don't want to be in a 9 to 5 forever, I want to find something better. And always looking for ways to, make passive income. And I came across Scott's book, and it makes so much sense to me. And I love that it's a win-win for everyone. I get to help families that can't afford a home too as well. And I'm just really excited to be here and learn. I also wanted to always be in real estate, so glad to be here.
Do you have any background in real estate investments or?
Just my previous home, I'm renting it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So here's a suggestion for everyone who is new to real estate, is that there is some training that assumes that you know certain things, and some training is like very obvious that as soon as you started, some of the things may not be obvious to you. Don't worry about that. What I found is if you go through the entire thing, things starts to make sense. All right. So just be patient, go through the training, and it'll help you out. So
Thank
welcome.
you. Thank you.
Dana, go ahead, please. Unmute yourself.
Hi, I'm Dana Crosswhite, and I am in Spring, Texas, on the north side of Houston. I used to live in Dallas. I went to SMU.
Okay.
My husband, Eric, and I are actually doing this together, but he couldn't make the Zoom tonight. And he's retired, so he was kind of looking for something to do. I'm still working. I'm a portfolio manager. I'm an investment manager. So we're looking for something that will supplement our retirement when I do quit working. Plus, I'm kind of scared of retirement. I don't know what I would do. I'd be bored. And we have a little bit of real estate experience in that we used to have a lake house that we rented out on VRBO. That was the extent of our own experience. We've invested in real estate, but passively, where I was hiring a professional to do the real estate investing on our behalf, so more of a passive investment. So, but we're excited about it, and I'm planning on coming to the summit. And I did the, I guess the master, I did some sort of course. So I just joined Freedom Accelerator this week, but I've started studying everything and when I have time. So, but I appreciate your time this evening.
Absolutely. Well, welcome, and interesting that you have background in investments. It's interesting that once you understand the math behind how we finance real estate and properties and give opportunity, and that's another thing I hear from a lot of people. Uh, some people like this idea, but when you go out in the market and you go to Facebook, and once you start placing ads, you start hearing some negative comments. I just want you all to be prepared. You will hear negative comments. Anytime you do something different, right, which is not mainstream, people always question it for, oh, that's too good to be true. That's a scam, or you're taking advantage of people. Well, first understand this and honestly believe it because it is the truth. And I'm just going to take a moment to talk about it because it will be helpful. I mentioned a moment ago what the market we are in. It's called distressed asset market. These homes are distressed, okay? Which means as an inventory in the market, and we just heard from somebody in California who's doing ADUs, right? Nasir was talking about that. It's because there is actually a shortage of inventory. There's no homes. Not that they're older homes. There are no homes. So the Midwest, where the opportunity is right now, is there are millions of older homes that people are either abandoning or for various reasons the because they are in this market, which is, I call that a declining market. When you have a declining market on a consistent basis, the flippers, the people who go out and fix the property and sell it for a profit, they're not going in these markets anymore. So these homes just sit in the market. Nothing happens to them. Well, guess what? The city doesn't get any taxes from these properties. These are abandoned. Or worst of all, they get, fire happens and they have to be bulldozed or whatever. So when people like us come in, we take the risk by getting ourselves in a situation where we are financing the property, a property that nobody wants to touch. Remember that. Very few people want to touch this. We come in, and then we bet on people who generally will not get financing from somebody else. We say that we are going to take the bet and we're going to let you prove yourself that yes, you want a home and you're going to prove it by making your payments, right? So not only are we doing something good for the community, we are coming in and bringing somebody to a home that would be abandoned otherwise. Somebody is getting an opportunity to come into a home and make it their home, right? Yes, it does need work and all that. So you all will hear that. I'm just preparing you. Once you get to the stage where you go to Facebook maybe and Facebook Marketplace and start doing ghost ads, which is part of the training as you learn, you'll start hearing these comments. All right. So just be prepared that whenever you do things that are different, people say that, oh, it's a scam. Just wanted to say that. So welcome, Dana. AC, go ahead next.
Hey, everybody. My name is Andrew Klein. I am in Indianapolis, Indiana. Been here a couple of years. I have been in real estate since 2012, mostly as a buy and hold investor. Done a couple flips as well. I was looking for creative ways to get more deals done and came across the slow flips method, and the math just made sense from the beginning. So I'm very excited to get going and meet as many of you as I can at the summit in January.
Wonderful. Where did you do most of your deals? Was it in your area, the wholesale deals? And
Yeah, it's Central Indiana.
okay. Okay. And so Indiana is a market where we do slow flips, as you know, right? The only challenge that I found, I haven't bought in Indiana. I am in three different states, but in Indiana, generally the rents are a little bit lower, which means the property you do have to buy them at a really, really good price to make that work. But
Right.
welcome, AC.
Appreciate that.
All right, sure. Mark and Carla, if she's there.
Yes, Carl is not here. He's working a different part of our business, so she's
Okay.
pretty busy.
Okay.
Yes, so we joined probably about 2 weeks ago, and really just starting to get into a lot of the different training that is available on school. I do have, I am looking at some properties in a couple different states for a few relations that I was able to build right on school. And I have to admit, I've been on a lot of platforms, and this platform, I find it to be very professional, and and people have been very, very helpful. And I'm like really psyched to move forward, with everybody. And we'll be seeing you at that summit real soon.
Absolutely. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Terry, go ahead. Unmute yourself, please.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay, so me and my husband are going to be working this together. He's actually here with me. You just can't see him in the video. He's over here. So
Okay.
he's kind of waiting that. Anyway, we just started. We've joined last Saturday. And so we're super excited. We live in Idaho, Nampa, Idaho. So we'll be doing this remotely because there's not a market here for that kind of thing. But we have we're sort of familiar. The reason I bought the book and I read it, and it really registered with me because we've been in twice. We've been in a situation where we were on it wasn't really a slow flip per se, but it was a private contract. And we were on the buying end of it on both occasions where we needed to be able to do that just because we were in a new area or, whatever the situation was, we just needed that. And so we really understand how that works and how it really helped us out. And so we kind of get that whole process. That really got me super interested in it was because I'm like, oh no, I get this because I've been there. And so, so we're super excited to just get going on it and learn everything we can. Yeah.
I have a good feeling that if you start filling properties for yourself at some point, a lot of us don't fill our own. You'll have a good connection with people because, you've been there, like you said, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So when
Yeah.
you talk to people and that is sometimes a little different because, you don't see their perspective. So, well, welcome, and I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
Okay. Welcome. Mike, go ahead and meet yourself.
Did I do it?
Yes. we
Okay,
can hear
good.
you.
My name is Mike Shadle. I'm outside of Chicago, well, a suburb of it. My wife will be helping with this eventually, but she's a teacher, where she's getting more and more tired of doing. As I think probably any teacher or former teacher probably can relate.
Yeah.
I work at a pretty large insurance company. I don't really have to do with insurance, kind of internal guy. But yeah, we're just looking to help out, I guess, later on, is like make our future retirements more comfortable. We have one daughter in college and try to get her paid for completely so she doesn't have any loans and stuff like that. And I've always been interested in real estate. Never really got into it though, so there's zero experience outside of buying my own home. But I heard about Scott's thing and all that, and he just explains it so simply. And I know he oversimplifies it. I mean, there's more to it, but he explains it so simply, and it just totally makes sense. Like everybody else said, it's like it's not that hard of a concept. I know there's more. Like I said, there's a lot more to it than that. So but it's exciting. So I'm also going to Summit, and so I'm looking forward to meeting some people there too, and diving headfirst into this.
Well, wonderful. Yeah, you like you're going to be at the summit. What happens at the summit in addition to the training, of course, you get to meet some other people. If between now and the time of the summit, you make connection with people who are going to fill your properties, when you meet them, you make that connection. There's, meeting people face to face is very different. So definitely that's going to help a lot. But welcome, and I look forward to seeing you guys also in future as well. So Fareed, do you have a question?
I do, yeah. You mentioned that it's not necessarily easier in the beginning of this. So can you kind of like tell me what I need to prepare myself for?
Right. That's very good. And I think it's one of those things that you need to have realistic expectations. Yes, I tell you, Scott has this. First of all, Scott has the knowledge. He has the knowledge. That's why he can simplify a relatively complex model so that anybody can understand it. I tell you, like I said, I have commercial real estate background, residential, I've done rental, I've done a whole bunch of things. But when I came across this model, it's actually a complicated model if you actually explain everything and you do everything. But so number one, understand that Scott has uh, start a compare. I'm getting these notifications. Okay. uh, that Scott has done. Scott, I like about Scott is this: Scott does not bring anything in his program unless, number one, he's done it himself, he's tested it, and he's gotten results. So if you listen to Scott's story, Scott did not start the slow flip program like at a certain point. He has been doing other models, other things, and then it kind of came together, right? Once he did, then he realized what it was, but he still wasn't sure. He said, you know what? I need to test it before I start teaching it. So he actually went through the whole process so he understands that, there are things that will happen. Now, your question is what you should be prepared for. Number one, do not rush. That is the number one mistake that any new person who come into this program, they see all these people in our community talking about, oh, I just bought my first slow flip, and everybody's excited, which everybody should be. But then they see all these messages and they kind of feel, which we call like a peer pressure for some reason, that, oh, I have to buy my first slow flip. Regardless of whether you have the funds to do it or not, do not rush into it until you check it. Number one, of course, you must have completed your training. You should have looked at, the 100 homes that Scott talks about in any of the markets, and you feel ready. Uh, in any business, what I call the gut feeling, if you don't feel ready, do not buy. Even if you feel that, oh, this is the best property and I will never get this kind of best deal. Trust me, there are millions of deals out there. Most of my properties I bought right off the MLS. Their homes on the MLS for under 30,000. Still now they are. So don't let anybody tell you that, oh, this market is saturated. Yes, if you go into a very small market, like 10,000 people or less, then yes, you can, it is possible to have a saturated market if 100 investors are buying in there, right? But don't buy in a small market. Stick with bigger market, especially for your first low flip. Don't try to experiment by saying, you know what, I'm going into a new market. Well, you can. Scott teaches us how to do that. You will have to run ghost ads, which means it's like a hypothetical ad. You come up with a picture and you run the ad, and based on the responses, you figure out, whether this amount of rent is something that people will go for, right? But why should you do that for your first slow flip when we have so many different markets where many of us are already buying and successfully, renting them out to tenant buyers? So don't try to reinvent the wheel. Number one. Number two, don't rush, right? And number three, just like I said, you will know when the time is right to buy your first slow flip. Just don't rush into it. The number one, if somebody ever were to ask me, well, what is the number one mistake that people do? It's that mistake. Is that they just come in and they rush and they look. There's a story, I won't name the person, but everybody who's been here long enough, he came in, and I'm not kidding you, in the first month or 2 months, he bought 40 properties. Guess how many vacancies he had after 3 months, 4 months? He had approximately 40 vacancies because he thought this is it. So please be aware, because the worst thing that can happen is you buy your first slow flip, you were not prepared, you rushed into it, and it's a bad experience for you, and then the rest of the experience will be just based on your first experience, right? So that's what I would say. Okay, Jamie, hi, how are you? Go ahead and unmute yourself.
I'm good. Hey, I just wanted to add something. So I joined at the beginning of October, and I'm just now getting ready to purchase my first slow flip. So the last couple days have been a little bit grueling. I kind of was talking to somebody about buying one, and while I was checking the numbers, he sold it to somebody else. And then today I put in another one, and he pulled the offer, but hasn't even notified me yet. So when you were talking about what are the hard things coming in as somebody that's new, it's a lot of work. It's not hard work, but it's a lot of hours of work. I mean, for instance, one thing that was difficult for me, and I have owned a couple of franchises before, I've run businesses before, was getting the LLC and the business structure set up correctly. There are so many different ways that different people do it, and wading through all of that in the community and figuring out how am I going to set my business up, and then actually getting it set up, and all of the different base lane, or am I going to use a Nago? It's just a lot of work. So when I feel like when you say it's hard, people like look at it and think, oh, it's passive, whatever. It's a lot of hours of hard work. If you're willing to put the work in, it's going to be amazing. But just know ahead of time, you're going to be putting some hours of work in.
Right. So let's stay on this topic. What you're describing really is the setup, right? LLC is a setup. Everything else you need to set up to make sure that you can do this business. So pretty much in any business, when you start a business, the initial setup is the groundwork, right? The foundation that does require planning. You have to decide, well, where am I going to buy my properties? Where should I have my LLC? And you're right. That was one of the things that also got me kind of, it took me a while to figure out how to do it. But at the end, once you're done, then things become a little bit easier. So just like anything, once you get traction, it will become easier. But tell us about other things, because I think your experience will be very helpful for people who are here. It's their first week. So tell us the other things that you did during the last 2 months.
Well, I had tried to figure out what market I wanted to do it in. I actually ended up testing out 3 different markets, running some ghost ads in them, and then eventually picked the market that I have now that I'm trying to buy in, which is in Michigan. Setting up the business, I went through hundreds of houses. I did it both on houses that have sold in the areas that I want to go to see what they sold for and how much lower were the prices that they were taking than the asking price and all that kind of stuff. And also on the other end on houses that were for sale. I've spent a lot of time looking at the area that I want to buy in and understanding good areas, bad areas, areas where there might be gangs, areas where there's super high, areas that might have higher but still not too high that I'm uncomfortable with, and figuring out what I want, what I'm comfortable with, figuring out what kind of house I want to buy. For me personally, I don't want to buy any houses that don't have all the mechanicals going. It has to have a good roof and plumbing, electricity, a water heater, a furnace. Those all have to be in working condition. Everybody has a different comfort level. So that's something that you have to figure out. You got to get your LLC set up. You got to figure out taxes. Are you going to have an accountant? I mean, there's just a lot of things to figure out, but I can say this, I'm ready to buy my first house now. If I had tried to buy my first house a month ago, I would be a total wreck right now
Yeah.
going, oh my gosh, I'm buying a house, but I have no structure to a business and
Right.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Absolutely. That's I can sense. First of all, a couple of things that you said is very important. That you spend time and you looked at hundreds and hundreds of homes. Well, guess what that is? For us, that's data gathering, and we make decisions based on what we are seeing in terms of patterns, in terms of what we now know, right? And that's how everybody makes decisions. That's how I make decisions. I'm in certain markets. I look at a certain number of homes. I know where generally I'm going to be buying the zip code and all that because I know beyond these zip codes, there are nicer homes, nicer areas where the homes are average going to be 150 or $1,000 or more, right? So I'm not going to be buying there. So no, that's great. I think you're at the right place, and it's just a matter of time. By the way, just so you know, December is actually a good month to buy because December is a slow month. So the downside is that don't expect it to fill in December. If you're okay with that, you might actually find a good deal. So if you start looking at the listings in your market, you'll start seeing, you can do a search by price cuts when houses they cut their prices, right? These are the people who really want to move those homes, right? These are the people who are able to even accept lower than as much lower than what the asking price is. Not in all cases, but because they're cutting the price because they want it gone, right? So if you're okay with that, then December might be a good month.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Amir,
You're welcome.
let me ask. Can I ask
Yes.
her a question?
Yes, sir.
Jamie, so in the past couple months, you're preparing. How often were you on like Amir's calls and Scott's calls?
Every week. I've
Okay.
been on Amir's
Okay.
every week. I've been on Scott's a couple times. Sometimes his are incredibly long,
That's
but
yeah, I know. And
yeah,
then there's so many
I've
different
learned a
topics,
lot.
right? Sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, I have learned a lot. And it's also a good feeling to know that like when you're on your training or like I'm getting ready to buy, if I have a question, I can just hop on this and I can ask and get some answers that I need help with.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Uh-huh.
Kim, go ahead and unmute yourself, please.
I was curious to know because I'm in the with my sons and we've just joined in the past couple weeks and are doing like the training and all those kinds of things. So two questions come to mind.
Kim, can you hear me? We
From Scott and
can't.
things. So two things came into my mind. Like, are most newbies buying from somebody within the community for their first one? And then if you are, like Scott talks about, like you're negotiating and you're like, don't be afraid to make low offers and things like that. Like, do the same rules apply when you're making an offer to someone who's posting it as an available deal in school?
Excellent question. So you don't have to buy from people in the community, which means other people wholesaling a slow flip to you. You don't have to. Be prepared and understand this. This is something that I think people don't understand. When somebody goes out and does the work and finds a slow flip for you and brings it to the forum and post it there, they're obviously going to try to make some money for their trouble, right? So don't expect, I mean, yes, you can probably negotiate, but generally there's not much room, generally. But there have been cases where I found that there's a lot of spread. So that's one problem. There's nothing wrong with negotiating. I like to negotiate in a way, and I'll share this with you. Hopefully, this will be helpful for you. If you're not educated in real estate, how real estate transactions work, you're going to negotiate from a wrong place, and people don't like that. And it's not people don't like that. People won't, work with you because they know that you don't understand what you're doing. So let me just give you what I'm trying to say. When you offer something, it should be based on some data. For example, if a property is being offered for sale by a wholesaler for $35,000, they have to justify that it's at least worth $35,000, right? That's how real estate is. Real estate is based on what the value of the property is. Now, Scott has another view on this. His view is where anybody is willing to pay whatever price becomes the value. But I'm talking about based on comps, right? So let's say you find a property that's listed at 35, regardless of what you're going to offer them. Let me repeat that. Regardless of what you're going to offer them, you have to first know what is the true value of that property. If the true value of the property is 30,000, well, your beginning price, I mean, you're not going to even offer 30,000 because that is the value. In real estate investment, we buy undervalued property. So we would try to negotiate and say, okay, well, the maximum I would pay for this would be 30. Now let's see if I can go to this person and justify it. So you would go to this person and say, hey, I looked at the comps and I know you're looking for 35, but I can't find any comp that supports anything over 30. So that's your first argument, right? Then somebody is going to maybe work with you. But if you go and say, well, I'm going to give you 25 for it based on nothing, well, then, of course, then, no, they won't work with you. So absolutely, you should negotiate, but negotiate before you negotiate, you should have some data. So do a little bit of research. Now, don't be afraid to go on the MLS. MLS is a, in general market, when I talk about the normal market, people usually say, well, you can't find the deals on the MLS. No, MLS has millions of properties. You can absolutely find properties. You just have to do it on a regular basis. Have a saved option within Zillow. There's an option where you can put in your criteria and save it, and you can do it from multiple cities. And so if you just go every day, keep checking, sure enough, you'll find a property that will meet your criteria, and you can start the process. It is a longer process because it's not somebody in the community, so it's not as easy. But if you want the deal at the right price, then there's nothing wrong with actually looking at that option as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Glenda.
Hey, Amir.
Hi.
I'm sorry I didn't need my hand up. I talked to you last week.
So you're new?
No, y'all met me last week. Sorry about that.
Okay, got it. So your hand up was by mistake, is that what you're saying? Okay, got it. No worries. Alrighty. How are you doing, Major? Everything good?
Water damage again.
No.
Always water damage I got to deal with. So got it all fixed. Had plumbers in the house yesterday. Replaced all the water lines. Not going to deal with any more leaks.
So in your own home, or are you talking about one of your properties?
Yeah, no, one of a rental property. So yeah, I'm not gonna yeah. So got a good deal. So I took it and not gonna put up with that anymore.
There was a time when, yeah, I remember that, especially when I had my apartment complex. I mean, when I first bought my apartment complex, I was delighted. I'm in commercial real estate and now I own this. And then there were these issues that I even though I had a property manager, I had to solve it. The sewage line is clogged. This is happening. What Scott teaches, which is, I remembered it now, is that at the end of the day, I had to write the mortgage check to the man up in the big, the top floor and on the bank, in the bank, whatever, right? And so now I don't miss those things, and I realize that is one of the biggest myth about rental properties that's still out there. If you go out, a lot of people who are in investments, they are like, oh, I'm so excited, I make $200 net cash flow. And I've been making that for a year. And what they don't realize is it just takes one repair. furnace or something breaking down, and not only wipes out the entire cash flow for the whole year, you know, and then yeah, that's a different discussion, so we won't go into that. But
Mhm.
yes, you're in good place when you realize that slow flips is the answer. Dana, you have a question.
Yes, I was just curious when she was talking about getting things set up, is a part of the training, is there a session that walks you through how to set up an LLC or to perhaps look at or is there anything on looking at that versus investing like in your self-directed IRA or something, doing it
Absolutely.
that way?
Absolutely. So for the first part of your question, yes, there is specific section in the training. I don't know where it is exactly, but yes, there is the whole section about, in fact, a referral to a company that helps you set it up. Just a caution on that. I did try to use them, and on Scott's meeting, we also talked about it. They're trying to sell you a package. What they're trying to do is sell you a parent company, a parent LLC that will not hold the properties, but then have other LLCs underneath under which you will buy properties. Now, if you're in for that kind of a thing, it is a lot more cost. Not only that, it is a lot more cost on an ongoing basis because remember, every time you have a new LLC and you go for to file a tax returns, it just adds to the complexity of the whole situation. So go through the training, it explains you, and then you'll know the options for that. So that's the first question. The second question is about self-directed IRA. That's one of the most favorite ways on how people are themselves investing and also how private money lenders invest. I raise private money specifically for my portfolio. 100% of my portfolio has been funded by private money lenders, 100% with their self-directed IRA. So because it's the best of both worlds. They get interest income coming into a self-directed IRA where they don't have to pay any taxes, and it's increasing in a compound manner because we redeploy when the balances come back in their account. Do you see? So it's best of both worlds.
But do you invest in the actual real estate? I mean, do the actual slow
No.
flip in your self-directed IRA?
So I was talking about private money lenders. So
Right.
my private money lenders are people with self-directed IRA and they're passively investing with me as private money lenders, right? So I'm borrowing from them and the money is going back into the SD IRA. If you're doing it, yes, you can buy a self-directed IRA and then have the income come into your property. You can do that way. You just have to understand there are a couple of things that you cannot do. For example, you cannot take a salary as a manager and that kind of thing, as long as you understand. And if you don't, then talk to the SDIRA administrator and they'll tell you what are the things that you need to be careful about.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Yes, Fareed, go ahead.
I'm doing in the training, I'm at the stage of looking into the land trust and the LLCs. Having a hard time understanding how the land trust and LLC work together.
Yeah, that is something that I have just an LLC and I'm buying properties under that. So that is a topic which is a little bit more, I wouldn't call it advanced, but it's just more in depth into something. And I like not to talk about things like that because I think when you're starting out, you should try to keep it simple. However, there's enough training in there. If you just search within the training, uh, it has been talked about quite a bit. So if you go through them, then yeah, you'll get the answers.
Okay, I put in a request to have a call tomorrow at 10 a.m. with one of the firms that Scott put the
Okay.
link.
Okay.
So I'm looking to educate myself on that and see what it is. That I think it's the anonymity and the more privacy when you have the trust, so they can know who owns the house. But so you're saying that one LLC is probably sufficient for the first trades and stuff like that. That's you're
It
doing a lot of.
has Yeah, it has to do with your personal comfort with what you're doing. What Scott says that if somebody really, really, really wants to sue you, they will find a way to find you regardless. Okay. Now, yes, generally it does pay if you know have these layers, but that's all they are. They are layers. Whether you have one layer or you have two layer, you know, it is advisable to not have all properties in, for example, one LLC. Scott says that, you know, if you have too many properties, then you can have another LLC and have a portfolio in there as well. So you're separating them by LLC. So there's many ways of doing this. There's positives and negatives. I just try to keep it simple, and I just have an LLC.
When we're talking about lawsuits, you've been around for a long time. Is that something that, I mean, we all know it happens, but is that something that you've seen happen a lot? I don't assume so.
It's not. I've been in the community here for close to 3 years. I haven't heard somebody. People threaten people that, you know, I'll sue you and I'll do this and all that. That always happens, but I've never heard. I have not heard that somebody's actually doing this. I think there was one incident, but that was about some paperwork being not right. So
Hmm.
that's
Yeah.
why the paperwork part. You know, you need when you start either work with somebody in our community like the what we call fillers
Hmm.
and ask them, hey, the contract that you're going to use, has that been approved by or been developed by a attorney? If not, and if you're not comfortable with that, have your own paperwork drawn out. So let's say you're buying in Illinois, have an Illinois attorney do one for you. The benefit of that is you don't have to do it every time. You get one contract and then template, and then you can use it several times over and over again. But at least you know that the core has been the actual CFD was created by an attorney. You know, so that's what I would do.
Okay. I'll let John go. I have another question, but I'll
Oh, go
wait.
ahead, go ahead. We have a little time. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, John, I see your hand up. So, yeah, so I was obviously when you're new in this, you talk to people and just that's what's on your mind, and you talk to friends. One person said that if you can borrow the money and you have some money to invest on a down payment of a house, he was giving me an example that like the house appreciation
Hmm.
is you know, if you come look at it long term, 5 years, the house might appreciate. Well, I mean, 5 years ago till now, there was great appreciation. Nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow, and let alone 5 years from now. But you just, you know, that was a rebuttal that, okay, your money is going to grow more if you, in long term, if you just, you know, buy a property and rent it out and balance the mortgage with the rent.
You know, anybody can make an argument about almost anything, and somebody could just then come and talk about stocks, and then, oh, you can make this much money, right? The thing is, I would understand what you're doing, understand the core concept of how it works and what is the benefit of it. Like I tell to how I explained to you is in the beginning of the call, I said, first understand this asset class. This is a distressed asset class. The benefit of this is that you can first of all buy them at a price that you can pay off in 5 years. That is the magic. You cannot do that in any, and I'm telling you, I've been in real estate for a while. You cannot, that is the game changer. That
Mhm.
you can literally finance a home where somebody has utility for it and pay it off in 5 years. That's incredible because people think of a 30-year mortgage. So, because of that, yes, there are disadvantages, which means these are not appreciating properties, right? But the big advantage is you are not responsible for repairs, you know. So just understand that there will always be some argument from somebody, oh, I can do this and I can earn more. Well, sure. I would just stay in your lane and understand what your focus is and what you're trying to get out of it, and find the best person which it can help. So in my case, you know, I find this whole group of people, they have self-directed IRAs, and I'm helping them. They are so grateful because, you know, when I think some of you guys know, if you have your self-directed IRA set up, you know, you can't do anything with the money because it's literally locked. You have to know how you're going to deploy it. So you have to tell the self-directed IRA custodian, okay, this is what I'm investing in. So when I come in and I tell them that I can help you because I understand how SDIRA custodians work, and we can set it up so that the money goes automatically back and you don't have to worry about it. I'm doing them a favor. I'm showing them how it's done, you know? So don't worry about it. You will always find people who will say there's another shiny thing, you know?
I appreciate it. Thank
Cool.
you.
Sure, absolutely. John, sorry about that. Go ahead.
Well, hi, everybody. My name is John Madlinger, and I am born and raised in St. Louis, and I'm working that market. I live right outside of St. Louis and like 4 miles from the border over in Illinois, but I don't want to work in Illinois. Anyway, I was a contractor for 40 years and have done several properties, flipping and rentals. And in fact, I had a 3-unit, a triplex right here in Illinois. And I've had it for 6 years and had it paid off. And when I came across this slow flip, my first thought was, well, that's the best way to sell it. So I started studying it, and I joined in August. So I just finished, I just got my down payment check 2 days ago. So, and I think that was the best because I was going to make, I mean, I had like 50,000 in equity in it. And I was afraid that I was going to get socked with so much capital gains on that, that I don't have to do that now because of the slow flip method.
Absolutely.
And they jumped all over because they made me a cash offer. And I said no. So I upped it $40,000, the sale price $40,000 with owner financing, and they jumped all over it. So, so that made my first slow flip pretty easy. I already had it.
Wonderful.
But since then, I have bought 2 properties with my own funding. Maybe a little too soon, but I do know St. Louis market and area very, very well. So I went ahead and did it. I mean, I have my business structure set up. I think I'm in pretty good position. The one thing that I did do is the first one I bought was a 1-bedroom. And I found out afterwards that that's not a very good scenario. You need at least 2 bedrooms, 3 or 4 is even better. So the second one I bought is a 3-bedroom. So I expect both of those to be gone by the end of February. But I do have the luxury because I don't have a private money lender. I have the luxury of not worrying about it not selling in December and January.
Right. Right.
So
no, wonderful. That's an excellent start. And so on the private money lending side, now the fact that you have these 2 properties, if you can fill them up and start producing, you can, if you do by this time, it gives you some time, right? You can start looking for private money lenders. And when you do find one, instead of finding a new property, you can refinance this property, right? Bring the private money lender in, get your cash out, and then you can go buy another property. That's another one way of doing it.
Right. I've thought about that because I heard that through like Scott's his Wednesday meetings and the ones that I've watched. I heard that several times, and I thought that was a good idea. But
right,
the hard part is finding the lenders.
Yeah, because if you find a lender and you don't have any relationships, you know, a complete stranger, you know, showing a performing asset is very different than saying a hypothetical. I'm going to take the money and I'm going to, you know, buy a property and it's going to be vacant and then you're going to put somebody in there, you know. So it just is a little bit more confusing.
One question I have when you're talking to a potential private money investor or lender, is it advisable to say that you basically guarantee their monthly payment? Because I mean, I have funds that I can make sure that, you know, even if it's not filled, I can make that mortgage so that never comes back to bite me. So I can basically guarantee that they're going to get their payment on the 1st of every month. Is that good to say? A guarantee that?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Here's my answer to it is I would never ever ever use the word guarantee. Even
That's
if
what I
you
figured.
can guarantee it. The reason is if you're talking to someone you do not know, as
Yeah,
soon as these words come out of your mouth, they're not going to believe you. I
right,
tell you this with experience, all right? So
right.
never guarantee it. However, there's another way of saying what you're trying to say. You can say it in terms of your credibility in what you're doing, your experience, what is the value of your portfolio, if you feel comfortable talking about your network and that kind of thing. Those are more credible than saying that I'm going to guarantee payments. Another way is if you want to look at the other way, I've had some private money lenders ask for personal guarantees. Now, I
Yeah,
don't give personal guarantees, which means, I actually sign it. Somebody would sign a document saying that I personally guarantee that I'm going to pay you, right?
right.
All my properties with all my private money lenders, every single one of them are complete strangers to me. I never did a personal guarantee. They are all through the company, right? Through the LLC. But I never said or state that anything is guaranteed. But I do mention, this is important. I think this may answer your question. I do mention that regardless if the property is vacant or there is an eviction going on or anything, we will be making payments. So
Right,
I am saying that, but I'm not saying guarantee.
right. That's why I also thought about coming with the angle of, um, you know, showing the benefits of me never missing a payment, um, to them and to me. I have a vested interest in not.
That is a good point. That is a good point, but I would not say it because see, not missing a payment, you can say in terms of historical records,
Right,
but it's hard for you to predict that in future, right? I mean, right? Anything can happen.
right, right.
But that is something I use. Absolutely. That I explain to them. This is, by the way, this is very important for all of you. I'm 61 years old. So this 5 year is a very important retirement goal for me, right? I share this with my private money lender. I tell them why I'm doing this. And I tell them my goal is to pay this off in 5 years because I want my portfolio to be paid off. So I don't, so they get it. When they get it, they're like, "Oh, okay." So you're absolutely right. I completely agree. That is probably a really good argument.
Good. Yeah. I'm 61. I just turned 62 yesterday, actually, but
Oh, happy
as well.
birthday.
And that's what I'm doing here is trying to supplement my retirement. I retired like 3 years ago, and
Uh-huh.
then I built my own house that I'm currently in. So not quite exactly a retirement, um, but now I'm actually retired and not. In fact, the when I sold that triplex, one of the units was vacant and needed some work, and he asked me if I wanted to do it. I said, I don't want to be, short with you here, but I'm not going to be your private your property manager because he's out of town
Yeah.
and
Mm.
he's never done a rental out of town before, and he's got some rude awakenings coming. But um, I said I'm not going to be your property manager. I sold it because I don't want to do that anymore.
Exactly.
But I've been doing for 6 years over there.
Absolutely.
So, because I have the ability, so it's hard for me to pay somebody else more money than needs to be spent when I
Right.
can go do it myself. And
Right.
it's also a mile from my house. So
Right.
it was hard to hire anybody to do it. So I've done it all myself for 6 years. So
Okay. Well, it sounds like John, you're on to a good start, and I'm glad you're here. Um, okay. Does anybody else has any questions before we end? We went 50 minutes over, but I thought it was helpful. We had a lot of new people on this call today, so we went through that quite a bit. Any other questions?
I'm sorry, I do, if I
Yes,
could.
sir. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Um,
Sorry.
uh, the first one I bought, the 1 bedroom,
Uh-huh.
it is a hoarder's house. I mean, and I gave him a low offer, way lower than he was asking. and I put in there to try to convince him to take the offer was he could take what he wanted and leave everything else, because there's a lot of work to be done there. I mean, it's full of junk, just bags of clothes and bags of trash that they never took out to the alley and but should I it's been a month now or 3 weeks now, and I've had a few look at it, but I'm really afraid that it's really not, it doesn't show well for sure.
Mhm.
But it's got new windows in it already, and it's got a new roof on it, and it's a brick home. So it's great shell, ready to go. If somebody sees it without the junk in it, it's going to be a lot easier to envision them in it. Is it worth spending the money to empty it out and make
Yes,
it look
if
better?
you think that is the reason why it's not moving, then yes. The thing is, I would just be careful not spend too much, right? Just
Right.
get some quotes and see if you can get it. That has happened to me also several times. If you, I would think that it wouldn't make any difference, but yeah, I mean, think about it and put yourself. And you have good thing going. You got a new roof, you said, and the windows are good. Most of the properties I buy, that's one of the big problems. The roof is in pretty bad shape, and windows need to be replaced. So in that sense, it's a good property. There is always a buyer there for all properties.
Right.
I'm telling you, it's shocking. It's unbelievable. I have a property. Very quick story. Four bedroom, two bath, large home, beautiful home. We filled it as soon as I bought it. Within 2 weeks, a week and a half or 2 weeks, we filled it. Really good tenant buyer, but the buyer had to move out of town. He moved out. Well, the property was vacant just like, now for like 2, 3 weeks. Somebody broke in and stole the furnace. So when I say somebody, I mean like there were a group of people because you can't steal the
Right.
furnace. But listen to this. This is the shocking thing. And I'm talking to my guy, boots on the ground, and we are like, cussing and all like because they broke the door. There was a lockbox on it. And we're like, what are we gonna do? And sure enough, I said, hey, look, I'm not going to spend $5,000 on a furnace. What can we do? So we decided, hey, let's talk to a local investor who bought one of our other property. And I went to him and I said, look, I'll cut down the price on it. We'll take a less down payment. What can you do? And he came up with a payment that works for me and helps me pay my private money lender. And he's going to put in a new furnace. And I mean, he would like to. So what I'm trying to say is there's always going to be a buyer for a problem,
Right.
right? When and how it happens, sometimes you got to be creative. Talk to the filling team. Sometimes your filling team will actually give you some feedback that they might get from people who came and saw the property, and you may not know it because you're not there physically. But yeah, I mean, if you think that just cleaning out will help, I don't know, that might cost 100, $200 or something like that. So
I'm thinking this would cost more like probably 600.
I would get a couple of quotes. You
Yeah,
never know. You might find someone who will be willing to do it. Where is this property?
it's in South St. Louis City.
Okay, you do know that in our community we have you've been around for long enough to know that we have boots on the ground in each of these communities, right? So
Yes.
if you reach to these boots on the ground, ask them if they know someone or if they will clean up the house. Show them the pictures so they don't have to go there. Just by looking at the picture, they can give you an estimate. Sometimes boots on the ground know these other people that help them do other stuff, and they might get somebody to do it for cheap. So,
Okay. Okay, I'll do that.
all right, John.
Thank you.
Sure. Yes, Freed.
John, very nice to meet you. Actually, I wanted to repeat a point that I remember fresh from Scott's training. Uh, if you end up cleaning up the house, make sure you leave something for the buyer tenant to
Yeah.
be excited about saving money and, like, for example, interior paint. So they would come and say, you say, if this was painted, it will be much more expensive. So you're actually lucky that I didn't paint it. And this way it creates some incentive and motivation for them to buy.
Yeah, that's what's the reason I asked the question about getting it cleaned up is because when I first saw it, I went, wow, this is perfect. It's exactly what Scott talks about all the time. But
Yeah,
because I know I'm not going to go any farther than that, no matter what happens, because
I know. That's the extent of my commitment on this.
right. I just wanted to show a little bit better, maybe move a little faster.
I get it. I get it.
So,
cool.
But
All
thank
right.
you for that, Fred.
Absolutely. Okay. All right, Mark, go ahead.
Hey, this is for John too. Sorry. Hey, there's a couple threads that were in the chat room pertain to you specifically. One is it's called the Blue House. And there's somebody talking about they flipped this thing in like 4 months, like 3 times. And it's a 1 bedroom, 1 bath.
Oh, wow.
So people pay him a down payment, don't make a monthly, and they move out. So
yeah,
he's doing fine with that. The other is,
that's true.
Yeah, just like you said about the clean out. Eventually, you might have to break down and just clean it. But you could also offer somebody either reduced down payment or no down payment for cleaning it out. So always options.
That's what I was hoping. Even if there's a lot of turnover on this, hopefully the first or second people will at least clean it out.
Yep.
So
good luck.
Thank you.
All right, guys, thank you so much. Any other question before we end? We ran quite a bit over. I'm glad to meet all of you who are new, and I'll see you all next week. Take care. Bye-bye.